What's up, bros? We got a dual motor, dual battery, full suspension, electric bike. It's called the Meelod DK300 Max. And yes, we did review this bike about 1 to 2 years ago on the channel. They made some improvements to it, including a softer seat, better brakes, and now they have a GPS function on it. So check it out, while I'm riding it, you can use your app and just lock this thing. And it won't even work. It just turned the bike off. So let's take a closer look at this thing, see what it's made of, run it through the tail hypey circuit. And if you do want to grab one, use that link down below the video in the description box. Buy it through that link for the best price and to support this channel. But don't buy this thing just yet. Let's check it out. And here's what it looks like when you get it out of the box. So of course it is a dual motor e-bike running CST Scout tires up front, 20x4s with street tread. The motor is 750 watts nominal, stamped Meelod, 1200 watts peak power running on a 48 volt system. Brake rotor size is 203. And of course you get another one of those motors on the back wheel as well. So one of the most unique things about this bike is just how far this rear wheel sits back behind the seat. So sometimes on these dual motor e-bikes, you tend to spin out the front motor because there's like no weight on the front, it's all on the back. This kind of puts the weight in the center of the bike. Now it is full suspension with a real thick coil shock here. I don't see any numbers stamped on it, but it feels pretty thick. And down here we have an air chamber, so you can use a shock pump to adjust the amount of air in the shock. The brand of this one is DPJ2. And in addition to the dual motors, you have dual batteries and dual suspension with a dual crown fork up front. You can adjust the compression. Looks like we should have a decent amount of travel there. And here's what the seat looks like on this one. It feels actually pretty soft and pretty thick. Definitely short. This is not a two-rider kind of e-bike. Basic 7-gear set on the rear and a very basic Shimano Tourney TZ shifter, indicating that this bike is mostly going to be a throttle kind of bike. So let's strip some weight off this bike, removing the batteries. It'll make it a little easier to put together. So each of the batteries have a slightly different shape, but they're both the same in terms of specs. We have a 48 volt, 20 amp hour, 960 watt hour battery on bottom, popping over here. Essentially copy paste, 48 volt, 20 amp hour. And one of the benefits of dual battery setups is when you roll out, you can choose to roll on one battery or two. So if you're just gonna go for a shorter ride, you can kind of cut down on some weight. But if you want to be out there all day, you know what to do. So there is an app now. It says there is an anti-theft mobile alarm, one touch on off, real-time positioning, and riding history. So here's the dropouts. They're gonna be sending all that power through up front. So let's see if I can, oh, that's a little heavy. Let's see if I can do it without flipping the whole bike over. Not too shabby. Getting good at this after about 300 builds. Kickstand is too long. We'll get down there and adjust it. Really hoping this bike does not fall over on me. Oh, I think it's already in the shortest position. This is kind of sketch, bro. I guess I'll get through it, but it's gonna be a little sketch working on this bike when it's basically just being supported by that little box down there. So we get a set of metal pedals, manual, big ol' headlight, and a Meelod branded 4.5 amp charger, which splits out into 2 separate ports. So you're gonna share that 4.5 amps across both batteries, or you could just charge one at 4.5 amps. So if both batteries are fully empty, it would take about 10 hours to charge them both up, or if you just charge one at a time, it'd take about 5 hours. So let's toss those batteries on the bike. Don't fall over, bro. And we'll fire this thing up in just a minute, but first let me show you the size and how this thing feels. So I'm 6'5", inseam 34. Swinging a leg on over seat. Standover height is pretty tall, but I do have a little bit of room there sitting down on the bike. Rear suspension feels fairly firm. The seat feels fairly soft and wide, so it seems fine sitting on. Front suspension, we've seen this front suspension a million times. It's fine. So sitting on this bike, here's what my pedal stroke would look like. It's got some relatively long crank arms on there. You can see my knees come up pretty high. So this is gonna be a throttle in kind of bike, bro. Obviously, this thing is like a 1/4 inch from just tipping over. Please don't. And I'll show you the brakes on the other side in just a minute, but first, let's power this thing up. Meelod. Power on password. Try the whole zeros. Oh yeah, nice. So right away we can see this thing does have turn signal. See it flashing there? You can turn it off, turn the other one on. I don't know if they're mounted in the greatest place, but they do exist. Display looks nice. It's color, as we can see. Looks like it's running on rear motor only right now. Let's try some buttons here. So 5 los pases. Battery readout is over here. So you press that button to switch between front motor, dual motor, rear motor. Easy enough. Also, we get ergonomic grips. There's a switch for the lights and the horn. Horn is a little weenie. And power application is a thumb throttle on the right, and then 7 speeds on a very basic shifter. Brakes are Meelod brand, feels all right. And we also get signals on the back. That's kind of cool. Left, right, turning them off. You get a flashing brake lever when you grab the brake lever. Holding the plus button to turn on the lights, you get a light. Grabbing the brake lever flashes. Signals still work just like that. And a pretty big headlight up here, a couple different options. Here's what it looks like when I'm flipping the switch here. And let's turn this thing around. Man, I had a lot of fun on this thing last time. I reviewed a couple hundred bikes since then, so I'm curious to see what my opinion of it will be on round 2. This thing just wants to tip over nonstop. So I just wanted to show you the brakes real quick. We already saw the 203 millimeter rotor up front. It's got a relatively large Meelod branded brake caliper and pad there. One giant circle. Now around back, that is not a 203 millimeter rotor, but we do have the same large brake caliper. Pretty beefy looking brake caliper. Let me spin this tire around. Yeah, so we get a 180 on the back, which is cool because 75-80% of your stopping power is on the front of an electric motorcycle. Oh, it's got a little green light right there too. So I think you know what time it is. All right, dudes, let's go ride a tricycle. Just kidding. Let's take out the Meelod DK300 Max. And let's go ahead and give it a rip up the 20% grade with a 200-pound rider. I have it on dual motor. We'll give it full throttle. Ready, go. Oh my goodness. Wow, that kind of shocked me for some reason. That's about 11 or 12 miles an hour. So we already know this thing has big power. I'll tell you about the riding modes here once we get to the beach. I just want to ride this thing off-road for a minute. I did mess with the air shock pressure on the rear. It doesn't really seem to make too much difference in how the suspension handles. It's got a fairly thick coil shock, which does, you know, isolate you from some of the bumps. It's not the softest suspension I've ever tried. Front shock is fine. And pulls 35 pretty easily going into a headwind. We'll use a blinker, why not? Whoa. Oh my goodness, look at this Cadillac Escalade. Oh man, it's a zoo out here today, bro. Look at this chick crossing on the e-bike up here, man. Just sitting in the middle of the intersection. It's gonna be one of these kind of days. Doesn't have enough power to make the light. All right, let's get a quick 0 to 20 acceleration run in here. I cannot see that screen through my polarized shades at all, so that's kind of a bummer. So dual motor, we'll do full throttle, ready, go. Gets off the line pretty good, showing 15, 20. Pretty darn quick acceleration on these short 20-inch wheels, which tend to accelerate quicker than a taller 26-inch wheel. And dual motors, so that amps up the acceleration as well, but it is 48 volt, so we're not running an exceptionally high voltage for power, but peppy nonetheless. So with a little bit of a tailwind on a full charge, let's get a top speed run on this thing and see where we end up. Get up to 20 real quick, not pedaling at all, obviously. Hitting 30. Come on, bro, make up your mind. You gonna go or you're not gonna go? 34, 35, and it says 35.7 up there, and yeah, right at 35. It's pretty much where we're topping out. So up until this point, I have only rode this thing on dual motor and throttle only. Whoa, let's see what this thing is like to ride as a bicycle. So on dual motor, I can tell you throttle is pretty much an on-off switch. Like, there's not a ton of, like, you get about this much between no power and full power, and it doesn't matter if you have it on pedal assist 1 or pedal assist 5, you get access to all the juice on dual motor. And we do have 7 gears on this bike. My legs are very long and the crank arms are very long. The seat is relatively low, so it makes for, you know, one of these bikes I'm personally just never gonna pedal because my knees come up extremely high. It's a little bit uncomfortable on my hamstrings to pedal this bike, but it does have a pedal assist system, so you can put it on pedal assist 1, start rotating your legs, and it gives you just a fraction of the power, unlike the throttle gives you access to all of that power. So you can kind of dial it down, pedal it. Let's try 5, see what happens on dual motor, just kind of. So it is a cadence sensor. It's not sensing how hard I'm pressing on the pedal. I'm not even putting any tension on the chain, and yeah, it's getting us moving, bro. Now you can't switch between front motor, rear motor, dual motor. I've only tried dual so far. You just tap that button, so that's convenient. We're on front motor now. I really don't know what use case of front motor would be other than, I don't know, if you just want to stop and like do a burnout or something like I mean, the front motor just really struggles to get you going compared to like a rear drive motor system. But let's just see what it'll do here. Front motor feels a lot more chill on the power delivery, that's for sure. But still gets you up to speed pretty good here. Faster than I want to go around this corner with the sand on these street tires. And now I just flipped it on over to rear motor, and it feels pretty similar power delivery to front motor. So, you know, if you put it on single motor, it'll just make it like a little more chill on the power delivery. Now, last time I rode this bike out in the sand, I crashed it because the tires did not really grip into the sand too well. I took a turn at high speed, did not go well. Let's see what happens if we just go for a quick little gander up here. Oh, yeah, I can feel the tires kind of slipping and sliding around because they're not knobbies, but they ride real nice on the concrete and pavement. All right, we're about to give this thing a rip on the sand, but maybe we should wait till the police go by. This is going to be challenging for a number of reasons, including the non-knobby tread tires on this bike. So we are on about 25 PSI, and we'll just get a rip right about now. And I can just feel those tires are kind of like kicking up sand and struggling a bit to get grip, but yeah, we're powering through. I mean, it is dual motor after all. Pretty big power on this thing. Yeah, we're pulling right on through. I think I see a clearing here. I think we can get through right about here. Oh yeah, see, now when you get a little bit sideways, there's not knobby tread on these tires, so they tend to want to really slide out from you, especially since they're the shorter ones, as well as no knobby tread, and just sending a lot of power, so they're trying to spin already on their own. Let's get this motorcycle out of here. Well, I think we'll have no problem getting through here. I can definitely kind of feel like the bumps and stuff on that rear suspension a bit firm. Let's see how it does powering through this extremely treacherous test here in the soft sand. It's getting through, no problem though. It's pulling along just fine. No sort of like overheating going on or anything. Losing a bit of steam here, but mostly just hard to balance it, holding down these throttle. All right, yeah, there we go. And from a stop on the sand, no problem on the DK300 Max. This is really torturing the motors and the batteries right now though. All right, let's see how it does climbing the Cali incline, going up the spiral section here. We might lose traction on the front wheel. I could feel it just like on the verge of spinning, but we're doing just fine. Doing just fine, pulling on up here. And let's see how we do from the base of the Cali incline here. Full throttle. Looks like we'll have enough space to squeeze by here on the left. Hitting 20, already 21. Looks like we have a little traffic here. Pulling 26, according, yeah, 26, 27. So a lot of power on the Meelod DK300 Max. Just holding 28 there. And we've got a giant 203mm rotor on front and a pretty serious looking and feeling brake caliper, and then a slightly smaller 180 on the rear, but most of your stopping power is on the front on a motorbike, as you probably already know. So we'll give them a try from about 20, see how this feels. Oh yeah, a lot of weight on this thing. Brakes feel good though. So that back one will lock up on you real easy on the right. Let's give another pull here from about mid-20s. Pretty solid brakes. I don't even think they're quite bedded in all the way yet. Give it one more pull from closer to 30 miles an hour here. Yeah, it's 30. Oh yeah. Yeah, these brakes feel real good actually. It's only dual piston calipers, but the calipers are big, and that brake rotor up front is not just large diameter, it's also pretty thick. I think they did well on the brakes. So there's also an app, let's check that out. So for the Meelod, once you get the app, you just scan this little thing on the handlebars, then confirm, boom, added. So now we have all the features for the app. So after you make an account and password and stuff for the app, which is actually pretty easy, this thing, it'll work, it'll show you where your bike's at, even if it's not on. So you can turn this bike off, so say, you know, somebody jacks it or something, it'll pull up, it'll show us exactly on the map where we're at. This is exactly correct. And yeah, it shows my exact coordinates right here on the map. Also, it shows us exactly how much battery is left, 33%. And I think it's kind of cool. It actually shows you that stuff with the bike being off. So check it out while I'm riding it. Say like, I don't know, somebody stole your bike, or you don't want somebody to have access to your bike. You can use your app and just lock this thing and it won't even work. It just turned the bike off, like with the app. Like, that's actually kind of cool. I don't think I've seen that on any other e-bikes yet. So I just turned it back to the unlock status. So now I can turn the bike back on. Put in our high security password there. And again, you know, it shows through the navigation, or not the navigation, the GPS, it shows exactly where this bike is precisely on the map here. So if your bike goes missing, you can track this thing down even if it's powered off. You know what? It actually shows where I am on the map, even with both batteries completely turned off, which I'm not sure how it's doing that, but it appears to be doing so. It does show the voltage of the battery is 0 too, now that the batteries are off. Yeah, it shows the batteries are off, 0%. I mean, they're not 0%, but they're off. So that's the Meelod app. It's fine. All right, dudes, we're gonna head on home, see where we end up on range. I'll share my final thoughts on the Meelod DK300 Max along the way. So list price on this one is, you can see the current price of this bike linked below the video in the description box. Any sort of discount code I can offer you would be linked down there to help get you the best price and also help support these reviews on Tail Happy TV. So my final thoughts on this bike, man, it's actually a pretty solid dual motor bike. You know, topping out at 35. That's pretty good for a 48 volt system. Feels like a very torquey, peppy bike. Definitely not the kind of bike that I would personally want to pedal, but you know, it works as long as you keep those pedals flat, you know, use them as like pegs. It works as a pretty nice peppy little zippy electric motorcycle, essentially, with the throttle on here. Seat is comfy. I like it. Seat's pretty comfortable. Rear suspension is a bit firm, as mentioned. I like the tires on this one for street riding. They make a lot of sense to roll on these tires. You're going to be doing mostly street riding. You don't really need the knobbies if you're going to be riding on the street. And the price, I mean, you know, if this is the style you're looking for, I feel like, you know, you get a pretty good amount of bike for your money on this one. So that's pretty much my final thoughts on this bike, bro. Let's head on home, see where we end up on range. And as you guys likely know, I usually just floor it all the way home. And let's talk about range on this. So we're just rolling up on about 17.7 miles here, averaging 12.8 miles per hour, rode for an hour 22. You know, the typical Tail Happy circuit. So considering it doesn't give us like a voltage readout or a percentage, it's kind of hard to tell you how much battery we have. It just kind of shows this battery bar here, and it's like showing half-ish, roughly. Now, typically on a route like this, we would burn through about half of one of these 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery packs. So, you know, based on my intuition, I'd say we probably have about 60, 65, maybe even like 70% remaining on this dual battery pack, because it runs off both batteries at the same time. And you know, I feel like this is actually a great setup in terms of like a balance between weight, range, acceleration, and nimbleness feeling. You know, I don't think you would really want too much more battery, too much more range on a bike like this, because you know, it's going to start to really weigh it down after you get past, you know, 48 volt, 40 amp hours total. This is a solid place to be, keeping the thing feeling, you know, pretty nimble and pretty fast and pretty rangeful too, if that's a word. So pretty cool, unique looking bike from Meelod. If you do want to grab one of these, use that link down below the video. It would help support my reviews and get you the best price. However, if this is not the kind of bike you're looking for, bro, watch this video right here on the screen. Catch you over there.